Nancy Guthrie has left people searching for answers for years, but the reality behind her story is far more surprising than most expect. What if everything you've heard only scratched the surface? What if the truth has been hiding in plain sight all along? Every year, countless people try to piece this mystery together, yet it remains unresolved, until now. In this deep dive, we'll uncover overlooked details, connect the missing pieces, and reveal a clearer picture that reshapes the entire story. The core mystery explained. For years, the story of Nancy Guthrie has captured the attention of many, shrouded in puzzling contradictions and unanswered questions. At the heart of the mystery lies a situation that defies straightforward explanation, something that kept investigators and curious minds alike searching for a solid conclusion. Despite numerous reports and circulating theories, the central question remains: what exactly happened to Nancy Guthrie? The publicly available information has been fragmentary, and that lack of clarity fueled speculation and confusion. What makes this case so compelling is not just the mystery itself, but the way each piece of information seems to twist the narrative unexpectedly. Public interest grew largely because the facts shared initially didn't line up with the surviving evidence, leaving many to wonder if the truth was being concealed or misunderstood. Yet, even amid the speculation, a critical element remained consistently overlooked, one that would eventually change everything once revealed. The puzzle was never just about missing details, it was about how those details connected to a bigger, less obvious truth. Often, mysteries appear complicated because we're not asking the right questions. That's exactly the case with Nancy Guthrie, where the most important aspect was hidden in plain sight, waiting for a fresh perspective. The story developed from initial news reports and local accounts, which appeared straightforward but transformed into an ongoing mystery that perpetually emerged in different online communities. People have tried to piece together the narrative from conflicting sources, which resulted in multiple potential motives and scenarios. The mystery remains unsolved because its central element contains a fundamental yet essential detail that investigators initially chose to overlook. The absent component, together with its extended duration without resolution, created barriers that stopped the process of finding solutions. This component needs to remain intact because it serves as the fundamental element that explains why Nancy Guthrie's case continues to exist without resolution. The investigation becomes more difficult because this mystery exists within a complicated historical and social environment that determine the methods used to collect and distribute information. Personal loss and public fascination with the situation create a duality that cultural beliefs and stereotypes use to obscure their actual meaning. The media presented Nancy through her dramatic aspects, which led to confusion about her actual situation. The event first appears complex because of its multiple sensational elements. The truth about the situation became hidden through missing evidence because people chose to believe the existing explanations about the case. The story builds its tension through its mysterious elements, which require viewers to wait and reconsider their established beliefs to obtain their most valuable insights. The mystery exists to prove that people reach their conclusions too soon instead of discovering a hidden, complex secret. The process requires us to examine everything from the start while maintaining our initial impressions and studying every element with our current knowledge. The pieces become visible through a different perspective, which shows the actual events that took place with Nancy Guthrie. The viewers see something important, but they want to know why this major event remained undisclosed for such an extended period. The solution arises from two factors, which include both unrecognized proof and the typical behavior of people who use their assumptions to fill voids instead of relying on actual information. The story demonstrates how incomplete data allows people to create new narratives that they can challenge through investigation. Stay with me, because soon, the surprising facts that settled this puzzle for good will come into view. But first, we need to understand who Nancy Guthrie really is beyond the headlines. Who is Nancy Guthrie? Nancy Guthrie is more than a name attached to an unsolved mystery. She was a person whose life and circumstances became intertwined with a series of events that sparked widespread curiosity. To grasp why her story resonated so deeply with many, it helps to understand her background and the environment she lived in. Nancy was known locally as a quiet individual with a closely knit circle of family and friends. Her life, while not extraordinary by usual standards, reflected the everyday challenges and hopes of many people in her community. She had connections to a modest town, where news traveled fast, and people remembered details vividly. Nancy's relationships with those around her were a mix of support and complexity, shaped by social dynamics typical of small-town life. These relationships played a key role in how stories about her began to spread, sometimes with embellishments or misunderstandings. It's often the case that personal reputation and community perception heavily influence how a mystery develops, and Nancy's situation was no exception. Nancy's background is also marked by events that, on the surface, suggested normalcy but beneath hinted at deeper struggles. These elements created a contrast that made her case stand out, the more ordinary her public image, the more intriguing the questions became when inconsistencies appeared. Understanding the person behind the headlines means seeing beyond rumors and focusing on concrete details from her life and interactions. This approach sheds light on why so many felt invested in finding out what truly happened. The mystery about Nancy exists because her story has been told through different versions, which combine factual information with emotional content. Her family's viewpoints, together with community rumors and media coverage, created different narrative elements that both clarified and confused the story. Different sources of information about the case need to be understood because they explain how the case remained unsolved. The truth becomes accessible through our process of analyzing these elements. The wider public became interested in Nancy's case because it demonstrated how trust, transparency, and legal matters affect society. The universal ideas present in her mystery attracted individuals from outside her community who started conversations about dealing with uncertain situations and experiencing loss. The study of her story demonstrated how people behave in situations that lack clear information because they start making guesses when no evidence exists. The solution to the mystery requires social study because it explains the reasons behind its rapid development. The existence of Nancy's identity depends on the control that other people used to shape her life, and the subsequent questions about her identity. The way people constructed the events brought about their particular understanding of what really happened. A clear view of Nancy's background serves as a foundation for questioning the assumptions built on these narratives. The core of every mystery contains a real person whose story must be told in its complete truth. The end result of this process enables us to investigate the major explanations that came into existence and their inability to solve the mystery. The complexity of Nancy's personal life also highlights a pattern seen in many unresolved cases because complete information becomes necessary to prevent public confusion. People tend to concentrate their attention on false information that appears important while they overlook the hidden information that provides actual solutions. The personal experience of Nancy demonstrates how one particular life event can distract from the full scope of a person's existence. This understanding enables us to move our assessment from guessing toward evaluating actual evidence. The initial public perception of Nancy Guthrie developed through her background, which resulted in different evaluations of her case by experts who studied it. The initial interpretations demonstrate how difficult it becomes when people attempt to construct reality using only incomplete information that contains distorted details. Even with a lifetime of context, the story of Nancy Guthrie was only as good as the lenses through which it was viewed, many of which distorted rather than clarified her life. Early theories and misconceptions. Shortly after Nancy Guthrie's story became public, various theories emerged seeking to explain the confusing circumstances surrounding her. These early ideas ranged from straightforward possibilities to more elaborate scenarios, each attempting to fill the gaps with answers that made sense to the people involved. However, many of these theories relied heavily on assumptions rather than verified facts, which only deepened the mystery. The challenge was that the available information was often incomplete, contradictory, or interpreted through personal biases, making it difficult to separate truth from speculation. One common misconception was that Nancy's disappearance or situation resulted from foul play, an explanation that naturally grabs attention but was never conclusively supported by evidence. This theory spread widely because it offered a clear cause for the uncertainty, satisfying the human desire for neat conclusions. Despite intensive searches and inquiries, no concrete evidence emerged to back this assumption. Nonetheless, it remained popular as people struggled to make sense of the unusual facts they had on hand. Another early theory focused on a voluntary departure or personal choice, suggesting Nancy had reasons unknown to others for withdrawing from her environment. While this possibility could explain some aspects, it conflicted with testimonies from friends and family who described her as unlikely to abandon everything without communication. This contradiction highlights how incomplete narratives can lead to multiple, often opposing conclusions. The truth was more complicated and did not fit neatly into simple categories. Semantic confusion added to the problem, as some details were misinterpreted or exaggerated over time. For example, minor discrepancies in timelines or descriptions were taken as evidence of deliberate deception or conspiracy. This pattern is common in mysteries, where small inconsistencies fuel suspicion rather than skepticism. The result was a proliferation of rumors that spread quickly and became entrenched in public imagination despite lacking factual support. Misunderstandings about Nancy's motives and character also played a crucial role in the early theories. Media and hearsay sometimes painted a distorted picture, emphasizing drama over accuracy. This skewed portrayal influenced public opinion, making it harder for reasoned analysis to gain traction. People's perceptions were shaped as much by emotion and storytelling as by objective evidence. The confusion was further compounded by the lack of clear communication from authorities or those closest to Nancy. This silence or ambiguity left room for speculation and conspiracy theories to flourish unchecked. In many cases, withholding information, whether intentional or not, creates an environment where myths thrive. Without transparent updates, the narrative became a patchwork of guesses and assumptions rather than a coherent account. Early investigators faced the difficult task of navigating these competing versions while trying to maintain objectivity. Their efforts revealed some truths but also exposed flaws in the original evidence gathering. The way the case was handled initially contributed to the persistence of misconceptions. These lessons serve as a reminder of the importance of methodical approaches in resolving complex situations. Reflecting on these early theories and the misunderstandings they generated, it becomes clear why the Nancy Guthrie mystery endured for so long. The pieces seemed almost deliberately designed to mislead or confuse, but in reality, the problem was closer to home. The eventual breakthrough came only after revisiting these flawed interpretations with a clearer understanding and better information. This shift in perspective sets the stage to explore the key moments that intensified confusion, showing how seemingly small events can alter the course of an entire investigation. Key events leading to confusion. As Nancy Guthrie's story unfolded, certain events added layers of complexity that deepened the mystery and fueled the confusion surrounding her case. A seemingly ordinary timeline became tangled with conflicting accounts and unexpected developments that created more questions than answers. Small contradictions between witness statements and official records began to pile up, making it difficult to discern what truly happened. These moments, though minor individually, collectively obscured the truth and challenged the efforts of those seeking clarity. One pivotal event involved discrepancies in reported sightings of Nancy during the days surrounding the core incident. Some witnesses claimed to have seen her in places that contradicted official timelines, while others recalled details that